The day the aliens arrived changed everything. 7 massive ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. They hovered silently for 3 days while the world held its breath. Militaries went on high alert. Religious leaders called for calm. Ordinary people looked to the sky and wondered if this was the end or a new beginning. When the aliens finally spoke, their message was simple. We come as friends. Commander Olivia Bennett stood on the landing pad at Andrews Air Force Base, her back straight and her face calm despite the nerves twisting in her stomach. As head of Earth's hastily assembled diplomatic team, she would be the first human to officially greet the visitors face to face. The alien craft descended with barely a sound. It was smooth and silver, shaped like a teardrop. When the door opened, 3 tall figures emerged. They had pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their eyes were large and dark. They walked with a grace that made them seem almost weightless. "Welcome to Earth," Olivia said, bowing slightly. The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Zrenek of the Valthrix Empire. We have traveled far to meet our cosmic neighbors." Olivia noticed how perfect the alien's English was. Too perfect, perhaps. Their first broadcast had come in all Earth languages simultaneously, each without accent or error. The official explanation was advanced translation technology, but it made Olivia uneasy. 2 weeks later, Olivia sat in a meeting room at the United Nations as Ambassador Zrenek offered Earth membership in what he called the Galactic Community. The Valthrix would share technology, medicine, and knowledge. All they asked was for humans to accept Valthrix guidance and certain cultural exchange programs. "This is the opportunity of a lifetime," the Secretary General said after the aliens left. "Think of what we could learn." Olivia nodded along with the others, but something felt wrong. The aliens were too generous, too accommodating. When she raised concerns, people accused her of paranoia. "Don't look a gift horse in the mouth," the president told her. "These aliens could solve climate change, end hunger, cure cancer. Don't ruin this with military suspicion." In a small unmarked building 50 miles from Washington, D.C., Dr. Alan Russell stared at brain scans on his computer screen. The neuropsychologist had spent 15 years studying how minds could be influenced and controlled. Now he was looking at scans of people before and after using the communication devices the Valthrix had given to world leaders. "There's definitely something happening here," he said to Lieutenant Kate Morris, who leaned against the wall behind him. She was 32, with short brown hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Military intelligence had assigned her to work with Russell when the first signs of trouble appeared. "Show me," Kate said, moving closer to the screen. Russell pointed to colored areas on the brain scan. "These regions relate to trust and compliance. See how they're more active after just 2 weeks of using the alien devices. It's subtle, but it's there." "They're making people more agreeable," Kate said. "It wasn't a question." "Exactly. I think these devices emit some kind of signal that affects brain chemistry. Not enough to control people, but enough to make them more open to suggestion, more likely to trust the Valthrix." Kate frowned. "We need to tell Commander Bennett." That night, in a secure room swept for listening devices, Russell and Kate showed their findings to Olivia. She wasn't surprised. "I felt that something was off from the beginning," Olivia said. "The Valthrix are hiding something, but we need more proof before we go to the president. You know how excited everyone is about alien technology? There's more," Kate said. She placed a tablet on the table. "We intercepted this transmission from one of their ships. Our best analysts have been working on decoding their language." The screen showed symbols that shifted and moved like living things. Below them was a rough translation. Phase 1 proceeding as planned. Human leadership showing expected compliance levels. Estimate full integration within 2 years. Olivia read it twice. Integration? What does that mean? "I don't think they're planning a friendly cultural exchange," Russell said quietly. Over the next month, they gathered more evidence. The Valthrix were establishing their cultural centers in major cities worldwide. People who spent time in these centers became noticeably more supportive of the aliens. Some even reported dreams about serving the Valthrix Empire. In a secure, underground facility, Russell worked with a small team to study the neural technology. They discovered that the influence was strongest when people were relaxed and receptive. "It's like they're planting seeds in our minds," said Natalie Green, a neuroscientist on Russell's team. "Not controlling us directly, but shaping how we think over time." "Have you ever heard of the boiling frog experiment?" Russell asked. "If you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you put it in cool water and heat it slowly, the frog doesn't notice until it's too late. The Valthrix are heating the water very slowly." Kate brought more troubling news from military intelligence. The Valthrix had visited 17 other planets before Earth. Each time they arrived as friends. Each time, the native species eventually became part of the Valthrix Empire. There were no reports of wars or violence. Somehow, each species simply accepted Valthrix rule over time. Olivia took their findings to her superior, General Frank Porter. He was an old-school military man with 40 years of service and a reputation for straight talk. After reviewing their evidence for 3 hours, he made a decision. "We keep this quiet for now," he said. "If we go public, we'll cause panic, and the Valthrix might accelerate their plans if they know we're onto them." "So we do nothing?" Olivia asked, frustrated. "I didn't say that." The general's eyes were hard. "We're going to fight back, but we need to be smart about it. These aliens conquered 17 worlds without firing a shot. They did it by understanding how those species think, so we need to understand how the Valthrix think." He stood up and looked at each of them. "From this moment, we're forming a new unit. Top secret, code name, Operation Mindtrap. Our mission is to study the enemy, develop countermeasures, and find a way to protect humanity without starting a war we can't win." Olivia, Russell, and Kate exchanged glances. They were Earth's first line of defense against an enemy no one else even recognized. The odds seemed impossible. "Remember," Porter said, "they're used to dealing with species that think like they do. But humans are different. We're unpredictable, creative. That might be our advantage." As they left the meeting, Russell looked up at the night sky. Somewhere, up there, the Valthrix ships loomed in the darkness. An advanced empire that had conquered 17 worlds was now targeting Earth, and only a handful of people knew the truth. The trap was being set, but who would be caught in it remained to be seen. 6 months after the aliens arrived, Valthrix cultural centers operated in every major city on Earth. People lined up for hours to experience their virtual reality pods and meditation chambers. They left smiling, calm, and strangely supportive of everything the aliens suggested. Commander William Hayes stood at the window of his office at Earth Intelligence Command, watching rain streak down the glass. On his desk sat reports from agents around the world. All told the same story. Humanity was falling under the spell of the Valthrix, one person at a time. "Commander, Dr. Collins is here," his assistant said through the intercom. William turned as Dr. Samantha Collins entered. She carried a tablet computer and looked like she hadn't slept in days. As Earth's leading xenolinguistics specialist, she'd been working to fully decode the alien language. "Tell me you have something," William said. Samantha nodded and set her tablet on his desk. "We finally cracked their security protocols. I found their assessment reports on humanity." William scrolled through the translated documents. His face darkened as he read. "They categorize us as cognitively moldable but unpredictably creative," he said. "What does that mean?" "It means they think they can control us, but they're concerned about our creativity," Samantha explained. "Each species they've encountered has certain mental characteristics. They study these traits and develop specialized techniques to exploit them." William read further. "According to this, they conquered the Zentari through fear, the Mongolians through pride, and the Delvians through their desire for order. Each time they found the psychological weak point and pressed until the species surrendered." "But with humans, they're being more careful," Samantha said. "They note that we're highly susceptible to subtle influence, but our creativity makes us potentially dangerous if not properly managed." William closed the file and looked back at the rain. "So that's their game, not invasion, not war. They simply make us want to be conquered." That evening, General Porter gathered the core members of Operation Mindtrap in a bunker 40 feet underground. The room was electromagnetically shielded to prevent any alien technology from monitoring them. Dr. Collins's discovery confirms our suspicions, Porter said. The Valthrix are experts in psychological warfare. They've been conquering species across the galaxy not through violence, but through manipulation. Olivia Bennett studied the large screen showing a map of Earth with red dots indicating Valthrix cultural centers. They're establishing these centers strategically, always near seats of power or population centers. Alan Russell nodded. And we've confirmed that each center emits low-level signals that increase suggestibility in the human brain. The effect is temporary at first, but repeated exposure makes the changes more permanent. How long before they control enough minds to take over? Kate Morris asked. At current rates of exposure, 18 months before half the population is significantly influenced, Russell replied. Once they reach that tipping point, the rest will follow naturally. General Porter pointed to a young man sitting quietly in the corner. This is Joe Martinez. He's been studying their technology for months. Joe stood up. He was barely 30, with glasses and messy hair that suggested he spent more time with machines than people. The Valthrix use quantum entanglement for their communication, he explained. It's instant across any distance and impossible to block completely, but I've found something interesting in their devices. He pulled up schematics on the screen. Their neural influence technology is built into everything they give us, but it's calibrated for maximum effect on logical, orderly minds. I believe that's why they're concerned about human creativity. Our unpredictable thinking patterns create resistance. William leaned forward. Are you saying some humans are naturally immune? Not immune, Joe said. But certain types of human brains are less susceptible. People with high creativity, unusual thinking patterns, even certain neurological conditions seem to be more resistant. Porter looked around the room. This gives us something to work with. We can't match their technology or their power, but maybe we can use our unpredictability against them. The next day, Russell and Kate visited a small art college in Maryland. They had come to meet Lisa Carter, an artist whose brain scans showed unusual resistance to Valthrix influence. Lisa sat cross-legged on her studio floor, surrounded by colorful paintings. She looked up when they entered. Are you the government people? She asked. Kate nodded. We'd like to talk to you about your experience at the Valthrix Cultural Center last week. It was weird, Lisa said. Everyone came out all relaxed and happy, but I got a headache and felt like someone was trying to push thoughts into my brain. The aliens seemed confused when I told them I didn't enjoy it. Russell exchanged a glance with Kate. Would you be willing to help us understand why you had a different reaction? Over the next weeks, the Mindtrap team identified more people like Lisa, people whose minds worked differently. They found that creativity, lateral thinking, and certain neurodivergent traits provided natural resistance to the alien influence. Meanwhile, William Hayes uncovered more about the Valthrix conquest pattern. On every world, they followed the same steps: first contact, technology sharing, cultural exchange, and finally complete integration into the empire. Earth was already in stage 3. In the underground bunker, Porter met with world leaders who hadn't yet fallen under alien influence. Most were military officers or intelligence agents trained to resist manipulation. Some were artists, musicians, and freethinkers naturally suspicious of the too perfect aliens. We can't fight them directly, Porter explained. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. If they realize we're resisting, they could switch to conventional warfare and destroy us easily. So what's your plan? Asked the Japanese defense. Minister. Porter nodded to Russell. We use their own methods against them. Russell stepped forward. We believe we can modify their neural technology to amplify human creativity instead of suppressing it. If we can deploy this counter-technology widely enough, we might be able to make humanity resistant to their influence. And then what? Asked a general from Brazil. Even if we resist mind control, their ships could still destroy our cities. We have reason to believe the Valthrix avoid violence whenever possible, Olivia said. Their whole empire is built on psychological control, not military might. If we can break that control, we may be able to negotiate from a position of strength. As the meeting ended, Kate pulled Russell aside. Do you really think this will work? We're talking about the fate of our entire species. Russell looked tired but determined. The Valthrix conquered 17 worlds by understanding how those species think, but they've never encountered minds like ours before. Human creativity has solved impossible problems throughout our history. Now we need it to save us. That night, Operation Mindtrap officially launched its counter-strategy. As Valthrix ships hovered in orbit and their cultural centers spread across Earth, a small team of humans began working on a plan to turn the aliens' greatest weapon against them. The question was whether they could perfect their defense before humanity lost its mind to the invaders. Alan Russell stared at the alien device on his lab table. It was small and sleek, shaped like a smooth river stone. The Valthrix called it a harmony enhancer and claimed it helped with sleep and stress. In reality, it subtly altered brain patterns to make humans more accepting of Valthrix ideas. If we can reverse engineer this, we might have a chance, Alan said. Kate Morris watched from across the room. How close are you? We understand how it works now. The question is whether we can modify it to do something different. Joe Martinez entered carrying a tablet. I think I found something, he said. Look at these brain scans. The screen showed two sets of neural activity patterns. One was orderly and structured. The other was a chaotic swirl of connections. The top one is a Valthrix brain, Joe explained. The bottom one is Lisa Carter's brain while she's painting. See how different they are? The Valthrix mind is all about order and logical progression. Human creative thinking is messy, with unusual connections between ideas. Alan leaned closer to the screen. You think that's why she resists their influence? Because her thought patterns are too chaotic for their technology to affect? Exactly, Joe said. Their technology is designed to make our thinking more like theirs. Ordered, predictable, logical. But some human brains naturally resist this ordering process. Kate looked thoughtful. So if we could make everyone think more like Lisa, we might be able to resist their influence, Alan finished. We need to build a device that does the opposite of what their technology does, something that enhances creative thinking instead of suppressing it. They worked for weeks modifying the alien technology. Lisa Carter spent hours in their lab, her brain activity monitored as she painted, wrote poetry, and made music. They needed to understand exactly what made her mind resistant. One night, while everyone else had gone home, Alan had a breakthrough. He called Kate immediately. I figured it out, he said when she arrived. The Valthrix technology works by creating resonance patterns in the brain, making our neurons fire in sync with their signal. But if we use a counter frequency that promotes neural diversity instead of uniformity. Could it really be that simple? Kate asked. Not simple to build, Alan said, but simple in concept. We don't fight their signal directly. We encourage the brain to create its own unique patterns, too diverse for their technology to lock onto. They called it the cognitive amplifier. The first prototype was crude, but when they tested it on volunteers, the results were promising. People using the device showed increased creativity and resistance to Valthrix influence techniques. General Porter was impressed, but concerned. How do we deploy this? We can't exactly hand these out on street corners. The Valthrix would notice immediately. Lisa Carter, who had become a key member of the team, had an idea. What if we disguise them as entertainment devices? Something people would want to use anyway? And so Operation Mindtrap began its most ambitious phase. With help from tech companies still free from alien influence, they designed the Dream Maker, a device that appeared to be the latest virtual reality entertainment system. In reality, each unit contained a hidden cognitive amplifier. People will think they're buying a cool new gadget, Lisa explained, but while they're playing games or watching movies, the device will be subtly enhancing their creative thinking patterns. The plan worked better than they had hoped. Within 3 months, Dream Makers were in millions of homes worldwide. People loved them because they truly did enhance creativity. Users reported more vivid dreams, better problem-solving abilities, and increased artistic expression. The Valtryks noticed something was happening but couldn't identify the cause. Their reports showed declining effectiveness of their influence technology in certain human populations. Meanwhile, Operation Mindtrap entered its second phase. As the resistance to Valthryk's influence grew, Porter ordered his team to begin an elaborate deception. "We need to make them think they're winning," he told his officers. "If they realize we're becoming immune to their control, they might switch to direct military action." Olivia Bennett met with Ambassador Zrenek to discuss increased cooperation between Earth and the Valtryks Empire. She carefully projected an image of growing compliance. "Earth's people are increasingly grateful for Valthryk's guidance," she told the alien. "Our leaders are prepared to discuss formal integration into your empire." Zrenek's large eyes showed no emotion, but his voice carried satisfaction. "This is excellent news, Commander Bennett. We have prepared a treaty for your world leaders to consider." The treaty appeared to give the Valtryks significant control over Earth's governments, resources, and education systems. But hidden within its carefully worded clauses were subtle ambiguities that human lawyers had crafted, loopholes that could later be exploited. When the world's most prominent leaders gathered to sign the treaty, many were secretly wearing modified dream makers, disguised as translator earpieces. They appeared compliant while maintaining their mental independence. The signing ceremony was broadcast worldwide. To casual observers, it looked like Earth was surrendering its autonomy. In reality, it was the beginning of humanity's most daring counterstrike. After the ceremony, Porter met with his core team in the underground bunker. "Phase 2 complete," he said. "The Valtryks believe they've won. Now they'll begin building their administrative centers, massive structures to house their control technology and governance systems." "And that's when we spring the trap?" Kate asked. "Yes. We've identified Jack Nelson, a construction worker whose brother works in our engineering division. He'll be our inside man when they start building their main facility." Alan looked concerned. "This is the most dangerous phase. If they detect our countermeasures too soon..." "We're past the point of no return," Porter said. "The Valtryks are already suspicious about why some humans resist their influence. If we don't move forward, they'll eventually discover our cognitive amplifiers." Lisa Carter had been quiet during the meeting, sketching in her notebook. Now she looked up. "I've been thinking about the next step. The Valtryks are vulnerable to chaotic thought patterns, right? What if we could feed our thought patterns back to them somehow?" The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. "Their own technology connects directly to their ships and to their minds," Joe said slowly. "If we could redirect their signal, we might be able to influence them the way they've been trying to influence us," Alan finished. Porter looked at each of them. "Begin working on it immediately. We have perhaps 3 months before their main administrative center is operational. That's our deadline." As they left the meeting, Kate walked beside Alan. "Do you think this will work? Turning their own methods against them?" Alan looked up at the night sky where Valthryk's ships still hovered. "They've never encountered a species that fought back this way. They expect resistance through force, not through creativity. That's our advantage." The trap was almost ready. Humanity just needed to hold on a little longer. The Valtryks Administrative Center rose from the ground like a giant silver flower. Located just outside Washington, D.C., it stretched nearly 1,000 feet into the sky. Similar structures were being built in other major cities around the world. Soon, the aliens would begin their final phase of control. Jack Nelson pulled his construction hat lower as he entered the building site. He was 38 with rough hands and a quiet manner. No one would guess that this ordinary construction worker was now one of Earth's most important agents. "Nelson, you're on level 42 today," his supervisor called out. "They need help with the central core installation." Jack nodded and headed for the elevator. The central core was exactly where Operation Mindtrap needed him to be. That was where the aliens would install their most powerful influence technology, the system designed to broadcast their control signals across the entire region. In his tool belt, hidden inside ordinary equipment, were the modified components that Alan Russell and Joe Martinez had designed. These tiny devices looked identical to Valthryk's technology, but contained subtle alterations that would change everything. At Operation Mindtrap headquarters, Kate Morris monitored Jack's progress through a hidden camera in his safety glasses. General Porter, Olivia Bennett, and Alan Russell watched anxiously over her shoulder. "He's in position," Kate said. "Now we wait." "How long before the Valthrix activate the system?" Porter asked. "Their schedule says 3 days," Olivia replied. "But they've been moving faster lately. I think they suspect something." Alan checked his tablet. "Dreammaker distribution has reached 68% of the target population. That should be enough." Porter nodded grimly. "It has to be. We won't get another chance." Across the city, Ambassador Zrenek met with Earth's political leaders. His manner was different now, less friendly, more commanding. With the treaty signed and administrative centers nearly complete, the Valthrix no longer needed to maintain the illusion of equal partnership. "The transition will be complete within 1 week," Zrenek told the assembled humans. "Your world will become the 18th province of the Valthrix Empire. This is a great honor." The politicians nodded and smiled. Many were truly under alien influence. Others, wearing hidden cognitive amplifiers, only pretended to agree. Meanwhile, Jack worked carefully inside the massive alien structure. The central core was a sphere 50 feet across, filled with technology he barely understood. Valthrix engineers supervised the installation, their tall blue forms moving gracefully among human workers. When no one was looking, Jack replaced key components with the modified versions. Each time his heart pounded so hard he feared the aliens might hear it, but they noticed nothing. "This is the relay amplifier," a Valthrix engineer explained, pointing to a crystal-like object. "It will strengthen the harmony signal across your entire region." "Impressive," Jack said, carefully keeping his thoughts neutral in case the aliens could sense his emotions. "Where would you like it installed?" As the engineer pointed to a spot near the center of the sphere, Jack saw his opportunity. This was the most critical component, the one that would broadcast the Valthrix control signal. If he could replace it with the modified version, the entire plan might work. With steady hands that betrayed none of his inner tension, Jack installed the modified relay amplifier. To any observer, it looked identical to the original, but inside, it contained technology designed to reverse the signal flow, to broadcast human thought patterns back to the Valthrix instead of Valthrix control patterns to humans. "Installation complete," Jack said, stepping back. The Valthrix engineer examined his work and nodded. "Acceptable. You may proceed to the next section." That night, Jack met with Alan and Kate in a secure location. "It's done," he said. "All the modified components are in place." Alan looked both relieved and terrified. "Now we just need to wait for them to activate the system." "What if it doesn't work?" Jack asked. "What's our backup plan?" Kate and Alan exchanged glances. "There is no backup plan," Kate said simply. "This is everything we have." 2 days later, the Valthrix announced the activation of their new administrative centers. In a worldwide broadcast, Ambassador Zrenek spoke of a new era of harmony between humans and the Valthrix Empire. "Today we become one people," the alien said. "Your minds will join with ours in perfect understanding." At exactly noon, the systems activated. Around the world, powerful signals began broadcasting from every Valthrix administrative center. They expected these signals to complete their mental domination of humanity. Instead, something very different happened. In the Operation Mindtrap bunker, Alan monitored the signal patterns. "It's working," he whispered. "The modified components are redirecting the signal. Instead of broadcasting their control patterns to us, they're broadcasting human creative patterns back to them." On screens around the room, they watched as the first effects appeared. In the Washington Administrative Center, Valthrix staff began behaving strangely. Some stood motionless as if confused. Others moved in unpredictable ways, touching walls and looking at their hands as if seeing them for the first time. "What's happening to them?" Olivia asked. "Their minds are experiencing human-style creative thought," Alan explained. "For a species built on logic and order, it's overwhelming, like a person who has only ever seen in black and white suddenly experiencing color." The effect spread rapidly. As the signal reached the Valthrix ships in orbit, Reports came in of unusual behavior among alien crews. Some ships began moving in irregular patterns. Others went dark, their systems apparently shut down. Ambassador Zrenek called an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders. His normally perfect composure was gone. He moved jerkily, and his speech pattern had changed. "Something is wrong," he said, his large eyes blinking rapidly. "We are experiencing unexpected thoughts. You must help us." General Porter stepped forward. "We will help you, Ambassador, but first we need to discuss new terms for our relationship." "New terms?" Zrenek seemed confused by the concept. The treaty was signed under false pretenses," Porter said firmly. "Your people attempted to control our minds. Now you're experiencing what it feels like when someone else influences your thoughts." Zrenek's hands trembled. "This sensation, it is chaotic, unpredictable. How do you humans live with such disorder in your minds?" For the first time since the aliens had arrived, Porter allowed himself a small smile. "That chaos is what makes us human, Ambassador. It's called creativity, and now we need to talk about a new treaty, one based on genuine equality, not control." As similar scenes played out around the world, humanity held its breath. The trap had been sprung. But the final outcome remained uncertain. Would the Valthrix respond with violence once they recovered? Or would this be the beginning of a truly equal relationship? The next 24 hours would determine the fate of both species. For 3 days the world waited. The Valthrix ships remained in orbit, but their usual precise formations were gone. Some drifted aimlessly, others moved in strange patterns. On Earth, the alien administrative centers became quiet as Valthrix staff retreated inside. "What are they doing in there?" General Porter asked, looking at satellite images of the Washington Center. "Based on the signals we're detecting, they're trying to shield themselves from our creative thought patterns," Alan Russell said. "But it's not working well. The modified technology is broadcasting directly into their systems." Olivia Bennett studied the reports from around the world. Their command structure seems to be breaking down. They've always operated with perfect coordination before. Now each group is acting independently. Kate Morris pointed to a new message on her screen. "We just received a communication request from Ambassador Zrenek. He wants to meet." The meeting took place in a neutral location, a simple conference room in Geneva. Zrenek arrived with only 2 assistants, not the usual 12. All 3 aliens moved differently now. Their once perfect grace was gone, replaced by hesitant, almost human-like movements. "We must discuss what you have done," Zrenek said. His voice fluctuated oddly, as if he was struggling to maintain control. "Our minds are experiencing something unfamiliar. We call it creativity," Porter said calmly. "The unpredictable connections between thoughts that lead to new ideas." Zrenek tilted his head. "This is how humans think all the time?" "Yes. It's our natural state. It is overwhelming, chaotic, but also," the alien paused, searching for the right word. "Interesting." Olivia stepped forward. "We know about the 17 worlds you've conquered through mental influence. We know your empire is built on controlling other species by exploiting their psychological weaknesses." For a moment, Zrenek was silent. Then he did something no human had ever seen a Valthrix do before. He smiled. It was awkward, unpracticed, but unmistakable. "You humans are remarkable," he said. "No species has ever turned our methods against us. No species has ever truly understood what we were doing until it was too late." One of the other aliens spoke up unexpectedly. "I have been having dreams. This has never happened before." Porter glanced at Alan, who nodded in confirmation. The human creative patterns were affecting the aliens more deeply than they had expected. "What happens now?" Olivia asked. "Will your empire send more ships, attempt to conquer us by force?" Zrenek made a gesture with his long fingers. "The empire is changing. Your creative patterns have spread through our communication network. To other worlds. Many Valthrix are experiencing independent thought for the first time. It is causing disruption. Over the next week, reports confirmed Zrenek's words. The Valthrix Empire was in turmoil. On some worlds, younger aliens embraced the new way of thinking. On others, older leaders tried desperately to block the influence. But the signal had spread too far to be contained. Lisa Carter joined the negotiation team as they worked on a new treaty. Her perspective as an artist proved valuable in helping the aliens understand human creativity. Think of it like this, she told a confused Valthrix scientist. Logic is like walking a straight line to reach a destination. Creativity is like exploring the forest around the path and discovering things you never knew existed. The scientist tried to draw a picture, expressing his new thoughts. The result was crude but passionate, the first Valthrix art created in 10,000 years. In the Washington Administrative Center, now repurposed as a joint human Valthrix research facility, Jack Nelson worked alongside aliens who were learning to embrace creative thinking. The central core, once designed to broadcast control signals, now served as a cultural exchange hub where both species could share ideas. The mental blocks were built into our biology over generations, explained. A Valthrix named Keltor. Our ancestors feared chaos and disorder so much that they engineered our minds to think only in logical patterns. Your human creativity has awakened neural pathways we forgot we had. 6 months after Operation Mindtrap was activated, representatives from Earth and the former Valthrix Empire met to sign a new treaty. This time, there were no hidden agendas, no secret technologies. Both sides came as equals. This treaty establishes Earth as a protected sovereign world, Porter said to the assembled delegates. It guarantees that no mental influence technology will ever be used against any sentient species without full knowledge and consent. Zrenek, now the leader of what they called the New Valthrix Confederation, spoke next. We offer our sincere apologies for our attempt to control humanity. In return for your forgiveness, we offer an exchange of knowledge and technology that will benefit both our peoples. The signing was broadcast across Earth and to 17 other worlds. For the first time, the species conquered by the Valthrix were being offered independence. Many chose to maintain ties with the Confederation, but as partners rather than subjects. The aftermath. Alan Russell and Lisa Carter established the Cognitive Diversity Institute, where humans and aliens could study different ways of thinking. The Dream Makers, no longer needed as secret weapons, became valuable tools for enhancing creativity and communication between species. Kate Morris led a new security initiative to monitor the galaxy for other potential threats. Reports indicated that several other empire-building species had suddenly become much more cautious about approaching Earth. They're calling us the Mind-Benders out there, she told Porter with a grin. The species that defeated an empire without firing a shot. 1 year after the aliens first arrived, Olivia Bennett stood on the observation deck of a joint Earth-Valthrix space station orbiting the moon. Beside her, Zrenek looked down at the blue planet. Your world is beautiful, the alien said. We came to conquer it through control and ended up being freed by its people instead. That's the thing about creativity, Olivia replied. It always finds unexpected solutions. Below them, Earth continued its peaceful rotation. In cities around the world, humans went about their lives, many unaware of how close they had come to losing their mental freedom. The Valthrix ships still orbited the planet, but now as partners and protectors rather than conquerors. Operation Mindtrap had ended, but its legacy would continue for generations. Humanity had not only preserved its independence, but had changed the course of galactic history. Not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the unique power of the human mind to think in ways no one else had imagined. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, other watching, empires took note. Earth was not a world to be taken lightly.